Hi everyone. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. It's Thursday night. The weekend is right ahead of us. It's the holiday weekend, isn't it? It's the weekend before Christmas. All right, let's get started. Let's talk about China's economy. Um, the subject of China's economy is the most difficult subject because of the lack of good data. Recently, the Dow Jones Industrial Average experienced a 10-day losing streak, the longest since 1974. Yesterday, Dow Jones dropped 1,100 points. Mainstream media attributed it to Fed's signal of a slower pace of rate cuts in 2025. Today, things seem to have turned around. With help from mainstream media, the market rebounded, ending the longest losing streak in 50 years. Media reported today that the US economy grew 3.1% in the third quarter, higher than the originally estimated 2.8%. The Labor Department also reported that US weekly unemployment benefits claims decreased last week, so on and so forth. However, the US economy doesn't feel as robust as media and the government have told us. If you look around, the malls are getting emptier as most stores are closed. Several large restaurant chains have filed for bankruptcy: Red Lobster, TGI Friday, to name a few. If you talk to local business owners, they will give you a different picture or economic picture from what the media wants us to believe. I spoke with a friend who runs a massage and tuina center in the Northeast, and most of her clients are computer programmers and those who use computer for extended hours. She said the economy isn't doing well, as she saw a drastic decline in her client visits, and the decline started in the second quarter of this year. She said it wasn't like that during the pandemic or the first few years after the pandemic, but there's a clear drop starting a clear drop. People don't have as much money as before. Okay, so I'm not here to discuss the US economy. The point I'm trying to make is that if we go by official statistics and data, we may never get the economic truth in its entirety, whether it's the US or China. The problem in China is much bigger. So we must develop our own metrics and methodology to get to the bottom of things. However, this is very difficult, particularly for China. The entire country is inundated with fake and manipulated data. So what I'm going to do today is I will share with you some of the insights concerning China's economy, which I collected over the past few days and week. So I will first share with you a viral post called "A Wave of Plummeting Prices is Sweeping Across China," which went viral. This post addressed the title of this video, that is a 90% price drop in China. But what is it? Then I'll share with you some of the facts and analysis shared by two outspoken Chinese economists to help you understand China's economic reality. So first things first, let me first the link. I've asked Chris to share with you the link of the post. It's actually a repost. The website isn't the original website that had the post. Many websites based outside China reposted it. So, but it has the entire piece. So the author wasn't discussing consumer prices, right? You want to know what the 90% price drop is. It wasn't consumer prices. It wasn't stock prices or home prices. He was discussing prices in commercial rental market. In some parts of China, rental prices have dropped 90%, and it's not Shanghai or Beijing. But I'll share the information with you. So the post started with the author telling his story. The story started with the author visiting a massage parlor downstairs from his building. And the massage place moved. The owner told him that he moved into a better place for much less rent. And this entire and how he got the deal was the result of a beauty parlor which got closed recently. A beauty parlor closed its business recently. So what happened was the location and the furnishing of the new place that the massage place moved into is even better than their previous location. And the owner was able to rent basically a 20,000 yuan space for 8,000. So the place that they moved into was on the market for 20,000, and he got it for 8,000. That was unthinkable just a few months ago. It was made possible when the beauty parlor decided to move out. So here's what happened. So 6 months ago, the landlords of these commercial properties defiantly defended the rents and refused to lower the rents. So at the time, the massage center was paying 15,000 yuan per month for its place, and next to it was a beauty parlor paying 20,000 yuan a month. Both business owners asked their landlords to lower the rent, but they were refused. Now, the owner of the beauty parlor closed the business and moved out because they were losing money. The space became vacant for a few months, and the landlord then panicked. The massage parlor owner, after being rejected by its landlord that he's not lowering the rent for him, decided to move into the empty spot left by the beauty parlor. So he approached the landlord and they negotiated. Eventually he got the place for 8,000 yuan, which is half of what he used to pay, and about 40% of the 20,000. Right, the place was renting for 20,000 because it's a better place than his place. So then it started a domino effect. Tenants began negotiating rents with the landlords, and if they were turned down, they immediately moved to a nearby vacant space where the rent was halved. So basically, what happened? He said, what happened in the community, in these shops, on the first floor of the community, they start to swap space. This merchant moved into that spot, and that, they were moving around. They all stayed in the same community, but they were swapping their places, and the landlord started desperately cutting rents, and the rental prices began to plummet dramatically. And so it was said in his post that in some places in Wuhan and Guangzhou, particularly, particularly the prices of wholesale retail prices, the prices have come down by 90%. The situation of the vacant commercial properties and the plummeting property prices is not just limited to Wuhan and Guangzhou. In fact, it has swept across the country. So here I want to share with you a chart that shows the city in Chinese. It's ranked by the percentage of price drop. So it compared the current price with the price in 2021 and ranked the cities by the percentage of drop. It also lists this unit price in the third column. So the numerical column that you see in the middle is the unit price. It's yuan per day per square meter. Okay. So what we're seeing is that Zhengzhou in Henan ranked number one. Its commercial rental price plunged 38.3%, followed by Chongqing and Shanghai. And Shanghai actually dropped the most among the four largest or the four wealthiest Chinese cities. I highlighted them. So Shanghai dropped the most by 24.1%. Guangzhou has the lowest rate, the commercial rental rate of 5.7 yuan per square meter. It fell 11.5%, and Shenzhen declined 16.2%. Beijing, which has the highest rate, it's the city with the highest commercial rental rate of 7.33 yuan per day per square meter, saw a decrease of 10%. It's the least affected of the four large Chinese cities. Now, the 7.33 yuan is a daily rate. When converting into dollar, that's like $1 a day. So if it's $1 a day, that means the annual rental rate is $365 per square meter in Beijing. And this number, I was trying to find out what this number was before the pandemic. And it looked like this number was $819 before the pandemic in Beijing. And now it's $365 per square meter. So it has dropped by more than half. By comparison, in 2019, the commercial rate for New York City was $839 per square meter per year. And if you compare the commercial rates for Beijing and NYC, they're only 2% apart. They're almost identical. So in 5 years, Beijing's commercial retail space, or the price for commercial retail space has fallen more than half. And this data is truly alarming. By the way, I need to tell you that I was trying to understand if this, I think that the Chinese chart, if you look at the Chinese, it says commercial space. It does not specify whether it's retail or office. And I think it could be it's a blended rate, because the office rate is much lower than retail rate. So for example, in New York City, the commercial rental rate, the rate for office, like in Midtown Manhattan, is $890 per year per square meter. But the same rate for a prime retail space, let's say on the Fifth Avenue, is over $2,000 per square meter. So they're different. I think the Chinese chart didn't specify. I think it's a blended rate. Okay, so this crisis is not confined to mainland China. Hong Kong, once a shopping paradise in the Far East, also experienced the same price drop. Russell Street in Causeway Bay, Hong Kong, was once considered one of the world's most expensive retail locations, attracting high-end luxury brands and flagship stores. And take this shop as an example. This location, this shop on Russell Street, in 2008, the property was rented was rented at 580,000 Hong Kong dollar, which was about 74,000 US dollars. That was its rate in 2008. That's monthly rent, okay, not per square meter per year. This is a monthly rent for this location in 2008 on Russell Street in Causeway Bay in Hong Kong. And then in 2012, Longines, the Swiss watchmaker, took over the lease at an astronomical monthly rent of 2.3 million Hong Kong dollar, which converts into 297,000 US dollars per month. 12 years later, now the property was leased to a mobile phone accessory shop for a monthly rent of only 130,000 Hong Kong dollar, which is 16.7 thousand US dollars. So in 12 years, the rent dropped a staggering 94%. And this is only one dramatic example. Causeway Bay is just the tip of the iceberg. The trend, this kind of trend has spread throughout Hong Kong. So for example, there's another example I want to show you. So this store, this is a street level store in Jiansha-zui. I think in English, it's in Hong Kong, I don't know, in Cantonese, they spelled it Chim-sha-zui. It's Jiansha-zui, right? There's a road called Haifeng Road. So this is a street level store. And it was rented in 2015 by Milan Station, which is a secondhand luxury store, for 1 million Hong Kong dollar per month, which is about 128,000 US dollars. Now the same store rents it, but the price is only 100,000 Hong Kong dollar. It has dropped by 90%. So now it's $12,800 or $13,000. So that's what I mean by 90% price drop, both in China and in Hong Kong, in these prime retail space. That's unthinkable. All right. Now, let me talk about what the two economists said. The speeches by two Chinese economists went viral in the Chinese-speaking world because they unveiled China's economic truth. As a result, Beijing's great censor banned the speeches, and the two economists' social media accounts have been blocked since. So on November 24th, Fu Peng, do I have a picture of him? No, here's Fu Peng, who is the chief economist at Northeast Securities, delivered a speech at the HSBC Private Wealth Client Sharing Session in Shanghai. He highlighted that China's economic problems are far more severe than they appear on the surface, with the core issue being insufficient consumption. I say the core issue is China's demographic problem, the dramatic decline in population. So he provided an example, and I think this example is very illustrative of China's demographic problem, or China's lack of consumption as a result of its demographic problem. So he said, when a middle-aged man buys a house for 2 million yuan and later sells it for 8 million to a young man, a young person, the essence of this transaction is that the middle-aged person has taken away 30 years of the young man's future income. The middle-aged person can live comfortably for 30 years, while the young man bears the burden of a 30-year mortgage. In other words, the middle-aged man's wealth through the resale of the property rests on the earning potential of the young man for the next 30 years. Of course, if the young man can sell the 8 million yuan home for 10 million to an even younger buyer, he would profit 2 million. It wouldn't be a problem if the country is full of young people. In China, the fast decline birth rates present a big economic problem. When there are more young people, stocks and real estate presents, this is what economist Fu said. He said, when there are more young people, stocks and real estate present family wealth. Conversely, when there are fewer young people, stocks and real estate essentially become family liabilities, right? Ultimately, the short-term wealth accumulated by vested interest groups actually represent the debts accumulated by another group. The problem now is that incomes no longer grow. If anything, they decline. When the latter's debt reaches a certain level, it will lead to the total collapse of the system. So what economist Fu brought up is a systematic problem, is a structural problem in China's economy as a result of its demographic crisis. Another economist, Mr. Gao Shanwen, who is the chief economist at Essence Securities. Here's Mr. Gao. Mr. Gao is an independent director at China Pacific Insurance Group. He's also the director of the China Chief Economist Forum. He described China's structural demographical problem with the below words. He said, the post-pandemic China is a place composed of a vibrant and busy elderly demographic, dispirited and inactive youth, and despairing middle-aged individuals who feel life has lost its purpose. He proved his point by showing graphs in which younger regions, meaning Chinese provinces with lower average age, have lower consumption, and older regions have higher consumption. It is counterintuitive. Normally, younger people like to spend money and older people spend less, but that's not the case in China. If you think about it, the older generations in urban China, especially those who work for the government, have paid off mortgages. When I say those who work for the government, I don't just refer to government officials, like doctors, teachers, college professors. These people, they're essentially all paid by the government, right? Bus drivers. So there's a large group of urban residents who work for the government, who are paid by the government. So these retirees, they have paid off their mortgages. They enjoy a lucrative pension from the government. They have no financial burdens. They enjoy their retirement life by doing square dancing every day, exercising, socializing, traveling, and even getting remarried. The biggest irony in China is that young Chinese can't afford to get married, but elderly Chinese are remarrying on a large scale. Not only young people can't afford a relationship, a spouse, young people can't afford real estate. They can't find a job. And they face the 996 work hours, meaning you work 9 to 9 for 6 days a week. And they also face pay cuts and layoffs. So a few days ago, a resignation letter submitted by a Gen Z from Beijing went viral. His letter perfectly explained the predicament that Mr. Gao described. The young man submitted the letter to his boss, saying that he's better off going home to take care of his 4 elderly grandparents than working. So he described his family situation as such. He said he gave the monthly income, the monthly pension of his 4 parents. So his 4 retired grandparents receive a monthly pension ranging from 7,000 yuan a month to 10,000 yuan. So collectively, their total monthly income is 34,000 yuan. This young man makes 3,500 yuan a month. And also, each set of the grandparents have 2 to 3 apartments in Beijing. His own parents, who also work for the government, have 2 apartments in Beijing and a villa in the suburb of Beijing. His families are not high-ranking officials, but have good jobs in the system. So he said in the resignation letter, he said, my parents are both only child, are both the only child in the family. And they work for the government. They don't have time to take care of their parents. I'm the only young person in the family. Despite working really hard, I make only 3,500 yuan a month. Therefore, I'd like to resign and stay at home to help take care of the 4 elders. Money isn't important, he said. The health and longevity of my grandparents are what truly matter. Well, money does matter. The longevity of his grandparents will guarantee his future income. He's better off taking care of them to ensure their longevity than working 996 hours at his office. So his letter provides the details for us to understand Mr. Gao's words. A vibrant and active elderly demographic, dispirited and inactive youth, and despairing middle-aged individuals who feel life has lost its purpose. This resignation letter sparked widespread attention. It went viral across the internet, and calling it a sensation would not be an exaggeration, because it really touched it touched many people's heart. I mean, it really addressed the core issue, the fundamental problem in China's economy, the fundamental structural problem in China's economy. Economist Fu Peng also said that China's economic problems didn't start this year. It began in 2019 before the pandemic. This year has only seen a worsening of those issues. And he said that, and he said that he described how he obtains insight into the economy. Because I want to go back to the beginning where I said that we can't rely on government official data to assess the economic truth. And so Mr. Fu said he joined social media groups of Chinese delivery workers and ride-share drivers, like Chinese Uber drivers, to obtain key economic measurements. He said the defining characteristic of the ride-share drivers is being broke. He said that's their commonality. He said a ride-share driver in downtown Beijing pays for 15 yuan, which is about $2, for a lunchbox, which comes with meat, sauteed Chinese food, rice, meat, and a bottle of water. But he said the meat is not fresh meat. The meat is at least 10 years old. It's frozen meat. The meat is old frozen meat. The meat has been frozen for at least 10 years. It could be 10 to 20 years. Or else they wouldn't be so cheap. The lunchbox wouldn't be only 15 yuan or $2 if the restaurants use fresh meat. So these people have been eating old meat, all day long. I mean, if they eat the lunchbox every day, that's what they've been eating all along. He said he also befriended the owner of the largest beauty parlor chain in the country. He said the spending behavior of the women behind this 2,000 plus beauty and wellness shops provides him with insights into Chinese consumer trends. He said if the beauty parlors are doing well, it means China's economy is healthy. If the economy is struggling, or if the beauty parlors are struggling, that means so is the economy. And he said in the first half of 2024 alone, around 500 beauty salons or parlors in Hangzhou were listed for sale. The reality is that women, whether they are wives or mistresses of men, have no money to spend, and the men supporting them don't have the money either. And another insight which I found very, very interesting and insightful is China's youth unemployment, which we know is very high. But we don't believe that the 20% or the 19% official number is anywhere close to reality. And Mr. Fu said that, they have a mandate not to publish high youth unemployment rate. So the way they do it is by expanding university enrollment, because unemployed youth are not counted as unemployed if they're still in school. Therefore, pushing young people into universities for further study is a method to postpone unemployment statistics by at least 2 years, if not 4 years, 4 to 5 years. So do you know the current ratio of undergraduates to graduate students at China's top universities, such as Tsinghua and Beijing University? It's 1 to 3. It means that if the schools have 5,000 undergraduates, they have 15,000 graduate students. That's unbelievable. So now a college diploma is worthless. Even a master's degree is worthless. And young people need a PhD to get a job. So the above are the insights I gathered for you. But if you really think about all the problems that I presented, I mean, every country has its economic problem. I mean, the United States is experiencing, has economic problems, but China's problems are different from any of the problems that we have, because it's structural, and it defies logic, and it cannot be easily fixed. So with that said, I hope this talk is helpful to you, because I want to show you, because I think it's utterly boring just to show you official statistics and analysis, because at this point, I don't think they are relevant, because we don't know how many people. I mean, if China only has half of its population, then all the other assumptions are invalid. So I hope that the above discussion give you a realistic insight into the Chinese economy. I know they're in bits and pieces, but that's the best we can do at this point. All right, with that said, I wrap up. I saw a colorful sticker from Charles Womack. Xi Jinping is in a catch-22 regarding whether he attends Trump's inauguration. If he doesn't attend, he will miss out a golden opportunity to improve ties with the US. If he does go, he may lose face. Exactly. That's exactly the situation he's in. I think he may not have decided yet, but if he could choose, he probably didn't want to come, because they're more concerned with saving face than take advantage of the opportunity. But thank you for the comment. Well said, and the sticker. All right, let's see. I feel like I've been yelling. Lei has been yelling at the top of her lung. Oh, here we go. Tella Maro. Well, thank you, Tella. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Okay, that's all the color stickers. DeWeet. Here I have a DeWeet. Martins. My wife is Asian. She's lovely. I wish she could articulate as well as you do, though. I'm not. I could do better. But I have lived here for a long time. So yeah, so maybe as time goes on, your wife's English would improve. And the other thing is, I love foreign languages. I love studying languages. Yeah, so I think everyone has their talent, and language is one of the things I'm good at. Paul Levchuk. Question: we know that an incoming stream of immigrants can help with the population crisis, but what's the chatter in newspapers and on TV? You mean China opens its border to immigrants? No, I think the CCP will feel threatened. I mean, who wants to move to China? China does have a large population from Africa. Some southern cities like Guangzhou do see a large community of Africans. Um, but there are so I don't know where would China get the population it needs? I think it's just from where? From India? I mean, you have for the number of people they need, they will have to move people from another populous country to come. I mean, if you move people from Taiwan uh, or South Korea, I mean, it's the countries that they're too small. So I no, I don't think, and also I don't think CCP will be will welcome immigrants. No, I don't think because it's all about control. All right. Uh, Alan Mandel, do you think China is liquidating US treasuries and dollars to buy gold? Gold can be exchanged for any currencies to diversify out of dollar and then devalue the yuan. I think, yeah, China has been doing that. So you brought up a good question. China has been doing that, has been amassing gold, um, selling US treasuries to amass gold. But there's another question that comes with it. That is, what is China's actual foreign reserve? There has been talks about a hidden foreign reserve. China has been hiding another 3 trillion foreign reserve somewhere else. Um, so China's so in the scheme of things, I did a program on that. I think it is true. My conclusion was that China does have another on the record or on the book should have another 3 trillion hidden treasuries held by its large SOEs and banks. However, I think it has been uh, the money has been offset. The money has been what's the word? The capital flight, the amount of Chinese moving their private wealth out of China have used up that 3 trillion hidden reserve. So in the end, it's still back to 3 trillion. I did a program on that maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. So it's a moving target. Um, so to answer your question, yes, China has been secretly building up its gold reserve. That is true. But what can you? But gold, the value of gold is very volatile. What can you do with the gold when the world is in shortages of food, right? So gold is not really a liquid asset in times of very dire economic situations. What can you do with the gold? So natural resources, I think, is more valuable than gold, than precious metal at those, during those tough times. All right. Okay. Claire Ivers, will she run away like Assad if needed to save his life? I don't think so because he has nowhere to run. Where will he run to? No, I think he cannot run away. Where can he run to? Russia? I don't think he wants to live in Russia. I don't, no. Chinese communist leaders are not, they're not used to cosmopolitan life. They're only used to their Zhongnanhai leadership compound, that's where they feel most comfortable. I don't think they could, imagine themselves living in a foreign land for a year. So they're not, Assad has what, a British wife? At least I think they're more culturally, like the more cosmo they're more culturally savvy. But I don't think Xi Jinping, I can't imagine him living in other parts of the world for the rest of his life. No. Um, okay. Joseph Tan. After CCP collapses, East Asia needs to be immigrant friendly to change for the better. Top choices are overseas Chinese. After the CCP collapses, I don't think the Chinese will rush to move to other parts of the world. Are you saying that other East Asian countries need to have friendly policies to welcome Chinese immigrants? I think it will be less of a problem then, because Chinese probably will feel more comfortable staying in their country. Will take advantage of the next economic drive. It will be a real economic drive after the CCP collapses. Um, all right, Netflix foreign. How do you think the world will handle when the CCP collapses after a total economic collapse and many Chinese try to immigrate flee? I think, how do you think the world will handle when the CCP collapses after a total economic collapses and many Chinese try to? The numbers will be massive. I think it depends on how the CCP collapses. I think it will disintegrate gradually. I think the collapse may not be as dramatic as you have described here. I don't think it's an overnight thing. I think it will happen over a period of time. It's already happening. We're just not seeing. Well, it's being covered up. There are significant changes in the leadership compound now. We're just not seeing it. I do not think it's going to be a dramatic collapse that will drive its people to flee. And also, I think fleeing China is not that easy. Only a small number of Chinese can do that. The mass majority of Chinese will not and cannot leave China. So I don't think the problem you described is valid, or the concern is necessary. Okay. All right. Chris. Okay, from Kala BBHS. Can you gain access to Chinese social media platforms from the West? I ask because you seems to buttress your position from that perspective. Yes, we can access Chinese social media platforms from the West. And actually, many of them, there are people who do that. I don't need to personally do that, because what went viral in China will immediately be copied here on YouTube or on X. X seems to be the most uh, active platform used by Chinese living inside China. Yeah, they do have access to that, so they try to send information that got shut down, that got removed or banned in China. They try to send that to X, so you see that very quickly. Aren't you afraid, Romeo Packard? There are so many enemies. You are surrounded, even if you are the strongest. Do I look like I'm afraid? I mean, fear is a self-inflicted wound, right? I learned over the years, I'm not saying that I'm totally fearless. I'm not, but I learned that fear is a self-inflicted wound. And also that we have to change ourselves before we could change the world. We have to change ourselves before we could change our surroundings. And the best way to handle that is change our perspective. Um, whether you fear or not fear does not change your surroundings. So you're better off not fear anything because it's how you feel. But it's not easy to do. I understand. I know it's not easy to do, but it's doable. Okay. All right. All right. That seems to be all. Oh, Nick Fury. Heard Hassan gave a list of weapons target to Israel for exchange for a safe passage for his air flight to Moscow. Okay, well, it's likely. At the end, I mean, it's all about negotiation and bargaining. What you get and what I get, what I need and what you need. It's all about that. It's like little kids, exchanging goodies with candies. That's the essence of it. Moonwalker, what do you think the world reaction would be if Trump invited former Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen to his inauguration? I think that would scare Xi very much. I think if Tsai Ing-wen is invited and is coming, uh, Xi Jinping wouldn't come. But he did invite the Taiwan government will send a delegation. I think the House Speaker or the equivalent of a House Speaker from Taiwan's parliament will lead a delegation to attend the inauguration. So they will be coming, just not the former president. Somebody said life is better outside USA. Well, as imperfect as this country is, I think it's still the best um, for the time being. Okay. That seems to be all. Okay. All right, that's all. I thank you for joining me. I hope this information is helpful. Stay well, and I'll see you this weekend. Okay, bye bye.